Welcome back to a Philly Escape podcast number 31, boys. We're at full strength today. I'm off the IR. I'm coming back as an engaged man. A few round of applause for me. Yeah,
Oh, where's your ring?
okay. Coming back with I don't think I get one yet. Erica wants to lock it down. She wants me to get one. I don't think the guy gets it until they're married.
Hey, I
But
think I see a whip in the background because I know you're a whip
do
man
you,
now. So, you know.
do you,
Like he
do
wasn't
you?
already.
Like a
He's
happy
probably gonna
whip
pull an
man.
Elliott Short
I'm
to
pretty
wear
happy.
Eagles green to the wedding.
I did for the proposal, if you actually liked the Insta post, but I think Jackson's like literally the only one who didn't.
Uh,
That's a damn shame.
Ooh,
That's
called
rough.
out. Called
Damn,
out.
damn. I'm not even
yeah,
calling him out, but if you looked at the post,
just not active on
it was
Instagram.
that midnight green. You know what I'm saying? Okay, boys. So we're at full strength. I got 4 takeaways for four of the boys on the pod tonight. All right, and then I'm gonna go to you guys, and I want to start with just the biggest takeaway for this Birds team 3 weeks in. So we'll do kind of a quick recap on the Commanders game, but more of like a into the first quarter of the season. What's your biggest takeaway from this team, and do you guys even see a need for improvement? I'm going to start a quick 1 through 4, right? So Jalen, he's the guy, dude. He
Jalen,
looks so good. He
he's
looks so good. Jarsha, all right, we'll argue later. But
oh
Uh,
come on.
Brits, from what we talked about from that Detroit game 2 pods ago, what did I ask for? I wanted something electrifying and something that wasn't just dink and dunk downfield. Those mid-range passes, those long passes. He's done that like consistently every single week. I mean,
Yep.
whether it's AJ Brown and Devontae Smith this past week, my God, just looked ridiculous. I mean, they're making up for some passes. Don't get me wrong, but when you have an AJ Brown and a Devontae Smith, you still got to have a quarterback that's trusting his guys and feeling comfortable to throw those passes in order to make long downfield plays. So like, got to give credit to Jalen here. I know some people, small sample size, I get it, but at the same time, large sample size last year, and how many plays like that did he have? That he's had in the first 3 games already. So like, that's what I would have to say for Jalen. My number 2 point: every game we've controlled. Even this is going to sound stupid, but even if you're not scoring, you can still do well enough to control the game. And I think that's what the offense is doing, even in the second half. You have a lot of people coming out and saying, all right, they're not putting points up in the second half.
Yeah.
I still think you can control the game even if you're not scoring. So it's never each of these games, other than Detroit, it seems like, we've been in control, not really out of reach for us to just shut the game down. Number 3, maybe not for the first game, but Jonathan Gannon scheming the right things against the right teams on a
Well
week to
say.
week basis. So he's adjusted from week 1, and he's still continuing to adjust. He's got the front 4 with no blitz package against Carson Wentz, Commander Carson, and did the right things against Kirk too. I'll rely on you guys for any details. I didn't get to watch a lot of games, being engaged and such. And then just the perfect balance. Like each game, if the offense is putting up points in the first half, the defense is just completely shutting down, Kirk or Carson, the rest of the game. So as far as what I look at in this week's past game against the Commanders, I look at it as a 24-0 game. I mean, we
Basically.
stopped them on 4th and goal. It's cheap 2 points and then garbage points, from the Commanders in the last 3 minutes of the game. So let's go around the room. Biggest takeaway for the Birds. We'll go to you in a second, Harsha, and then something to improve. If you guys see something that's sticking out to you guys that the Birds need to improve right now.
I'll go first, I guess. I mean, obviously the biggest thing that I see that we didn't do last year is just getting the ball downfield and doing it like not just consistently, but like efficiently. We're doing it at the right times, and we're not doing it like when it's like. Cause I feel like last year we would force the ball down the field, like when it felt like we couldn't get anything going. Now it's like, okay, we get a first down, we get like a second and short, we get another first down, and like it seems like we're just chopping them up, and then we just go downfield, and then we take the top off, and now the running game gets going because now they're worried about us going downfield. So like the defense doesn't know what to do with us right now, especially the fact that
I agree. Yeah,
Jalen's still Jalen. I mean, his throwing game has gotten so much better, obviously, and but Jalen's still Jalen, so you have to contain him. So like it seems like the defense doesn't have enough like even guys to handle us right now. I mean, we've played like not the greatest defenses, but like decent defenses. And I mean, I love to see the way the offense is rolling. And obviously, we'll probably get into the defense a little bit more later. If there was one thing to improve, I wouldn't say it's more so much as improve. It's just I want to see what we do against a more high-powered offense and a high-powered quarterback. Because we haven't played like
Okay.
a top-tier
Yeah.
quarterback yet. So like that's I mean we're not gonna see one for a while. That's the thing too. When we got
It's a thing.
We got
Yeah.
Jacksonville next week, and Trevor Lawrence is playing really well. So that's gonna be that might be a test because he's playing really good, much better than he played last year. So that's pretty much all I can really say about that.
It's going to be an interesting game, but I think Jalen has been really dangerous for defenses where he can run, he could pass. It's not like we have to rely on the run for this offense to get going. Like it's been a good balance, I think, just between run and pass
Yep.
options that we've had. So I would agree. Let's go to Jackson and then let's go to Harsh, who's not fully believing in Jalen just yet. Look at him smirking over there, unbelievable. Jackson, what do you got for us?
Who's
I mean,
man's?
obviously, I don't know. I guess how you guys are feeling. For me, at least after these past few games, I'm fully on the Eagles bandwagon. For me, it feels like we're really, really, really good. We're not beating teams. We're like dismantling teams. The last two games, we let up less than 10 points both games, and I would argue both games, those points that we like let up were pretty much just garbage time points. It felt like it feels like our defense is so good we can win games just kicking field goals. Like we kick like 3 field goals a game, we're set. I don't know. It's this defense might be the best defense we've had in a long time, and I think our offense is comparable to the 2017 offense. I don't think it's a fluke that everybody has us at the top of their list for the best teams in the NFL. The Vikings and the Redskins. I mean, the Commanders are.
Call yourself.
Gets said all the
I
time.
saw the game. I saw the game yesterday at or not yesterday. I saw it at Firefly, the music festival. They had a tent set up, and they played the game. So they had like Eagles fans
Oh,
and
that's
Commanders
perfect.
fans there. And I was wondering, like, at the Redskins fans, do they have to throw their jerseys away now that in order to continue supporting the Commanders fans? But there were straight up out of like the 400 people there watching the game, there were 2 Commanders fans and they were both in Redskins jerseys. They weren't even wearing the Commanders jerseys yet. So I don't know. There are a few Wentz jerseys there. I don't know which team they were really supporting, but I don't know. Eagles pride is out and about. Everybody's supporting the Eagles. I don't know. I'm loving it, man. It's great to be an Eagles fan right now.
It really is.
Feels good. Really feels good. And
All
what
right.
do you got, Harsh?
Let's hear what Harsh has got to say, Mr. Debbie Downer.
So
Harsh or
I'm not
mellow?
just-
Harsh or
hey,
mellow?
No. Hold on. I love what I saw this past Sunday. Let's start there first. I thought the defense played well. I thought stretches of last season, I felt like our D line like went absent, especially in a lot of games. I think they stepped up. What did we end up with? Like 10 sacks?
9.
Not 9 on the day.
Nine on the day, right? But
6 in the first half.
yeah,
Unbelievable.
the defense showed up.
Crazy
Go
stat,
ahead.
real quick. 5 out of Carson's first 8 dropbacks, he was sacked.
Yeah, see, like that's insane.
Oh my god.
That's insane. I would also point out that Washington was down their starting center, so that also probably helped our guys too. But that's not to take away from the 9 sacks because 9 sacks are 9 sacks. When it comes to Hurts, right, and I'm going to bring up something here. So Washington was down their top cover corner, so I think that's why our guys feasted a lot. That being said, Jalen made a lot of great throws, right? But they're coming from a position of when we're ahead, right? And I think there's a difference of okay, if we're ahead, I wouldn't say you're tight, but you can play without restrictions, right? You're not like, okay, like every throw counts. I think for me at least, right, I think Jalen is becoming the guy, but I want to see him, in a situation where, okay, you got to lead us back. Like the chips are against you. You got to come back and like you can lead this team and drive us down because you have the weapons to do it, right? Like there's no like, oh, I got to lead this team back with like we're down by 7 with Devontae Smith as my only option, right? Like, nah, you have the weapons to do it, right? So like if you get in a hole, can he get us out? That's what I want to see out of him. I think he took steps in the right direction in the Commanders game. I'm not sold yet until he gets that kind of like warrior moment or like the moment where it's like, okay, we can count on this guy in the playoffs when 2:30 left on the clock, no timeouts. He's got to get us down the field for a touchdown to win, right? And I know that's
Right.
maybe taking it like 2 or 3 steps down is progression, but that's where it should be, right? Because realistically, guys, we are a playoff team the way we're playing right now.
Oh,
If we were to stay, if
100%.
we stay healthy, if the offensive line stays healthy, the D line stays healthy, our secondary stays intact, we should be in the playoffs. And hell, we should win the division,
Oh,
right? With the way the
definitely.
division,
No,
with the way
that
the
should be no
division's looking right
question.
now.
Division
Yeah.
should be no question. Playoffs should
I
be
think we're
a
looking
minimum.
at the conference at this point.
It's 3 games. I would
NFC
love to
doesn't
be
look
like that.
too great if
I mean,
if I'm looking around.
I agree with pretty much everything you just said about, well,
Yeah.
everything mostly, especially the stuff
Yeah.
about Jalen. Because, I mean, like you said, we're kind of blowing teams out of the water right now. There's not much pressure
Right.
on any of his throws to make like a big third down conversion in the red zone or
Exactly.
something like that.
Mhm.
I mean, that's all true. It's just the only thing I would say that other than against that is, I mean, he's starting games so hot that he's putting himself in a position to
Oh,
do that
agreed.
kind of stuff. You know what I
Agreed.
mean? So that's like
Agreed.
that's what you love to see too. Because how many times have we seen this Eagles team come out flat in the first quarter the last couple of
Yeah.
years? It's
Agreed.
been annoying, but like it's
Well,
that change of pace is so
yeah.
nice to see. And but like most of what you said,
Yeah.
I do agree with.
Yeah.
I
Like
mean-
I
I
want.
mean- Yeah.
I think that it's obviously you'd like to see Jalen in like a high stakes situation where he's got all the pressure on him and he needs to make the play. I thought it was encouraging in the Commanders game at the end of the second quarter when we had like 45 seconds drive down the field. He
Exactly.
did drive down the field pretty well, I thought.
Yep.
And that
Yeah,
makes me optimistic for him in those situations. Obviously, it's a little bit different if you're in the lead driving down the field. You can kind of just like throw it up, whatever. If you miss, who even cares? But
Right.
Yeah.
it was nice to see him make those throws, even if it wasn't as high stakes. One thing I wanted to see what you guys thought. Is I guess obviously watching that game, you have the comparison Wentz versus Hurts. Wentz looked so bad, obviously because of the situation he was in, but like Hurts looked so much better, and his deep ball I thought looked potentially better than Wentz's did when he was here. What do you guys think about that? I feel like the knock against Hurts was always that he was a better runner than a thrower, but at this point he might be as good of a thrower as Wentz is right now.
I wouldn't say that
Better.
yet.
No,
He's better.
I think he's
He's better for sure. He's
I-
gotten better, but I wouldn't say he's a better deep ball thrower than runner. I still think that
no.
when you're
Well, maybe not runner,
Or
but
God.
better
not
than
I meant
Wentz.
just a better
Absolutely.
deep ball thrower than Wentz.
Oh, I think
Better
he
than
is.
than
Wentz, yeah.
Wentz. Ooh, that's interesting.
We
Carson Wentz
asked the
right now.
question.
Carson Wentz right now can't hit a guy that's wide open. It's weird. like
yeah.
Well, Carson Wentz right now it sucks. He still somehow says 7 touchdowns. Maybe those are garbage points, but like we asked this question in another pod of would you take 2017 Carson versus now Jalen? Absolutely, now Jalen. Like, not even.
now Jalen is a
It's a
different
lot
now
easier
Jalen.
question to answer now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Now
I think I
Jalen
was-
is a different now Jalen than we talked about before the season.
Well, so
Nick,
so
I'd like to
that's-
come in here and say
that's-
I said Jalen.
It's
That's
true.
a
You
good-
did say Jalen.
That's a good point. I think Jackson took the words out of my mouth because I
Yeah.
agree, Harsha. I think we want to see a lot more of that situational football from him. But that
Yeah.
2-minute drill that Jackson mentioned, that was something that looked good to me. Where it's
encouraging.
like, all right, you have to get to the outside, your outside, 5-yard
Mhm.
outs and just get, when you don't have timeouts. That was good
Yeah.
situational football from Jalen, managing the clock, managing the game.
Exactly.
I agree. What does he look like with some level of discomfort if we're coming from behind? Because every single game so far, he's had the lead. Again, it goes to Britz's point though. Like last year, that was the theme last year. Like we couldn't get
Right.
the offense going in the first half. Then we
Mhm.
started running the ball in the second half, and things start changing. We're coming out in the first half, first quarter, first 5 minutes of the game, and we're scoring, whether it's a field goal or whatever. So I think that does make Jalen a lot more comfortable and makes him a different quarterback. But would you guys agree? I mean, the way Jalen's flashing, he's looking like a Josh Allen out there. Maybe even
Whoa.
like his flashes. He
Agree.
looks like a
Whoa.
league.
In the
he
first
looks like
3 games, he's
his
playing
flashes.
like that. He is.
He looks like a league leader, a top 5 guy.
That's
Okay.
I'm not saying I'm going to put him in those rankings just yet. I'm going to put him in the top 10.
No, you can't say he's
For the-
as good as
for
Josh
the-
Allen, but he's playing as good as
But
you.
his flashes are playing like as if
I
some of the things he's doing, it makes it feel pretty real that
I
this
think
guy.
I
go
think
ahead.
it looks like he's showing flashes that he could develop into being like somebody who consistently plays at that level of
Right.
like
I would
Josh
agree with
Allen
that.
potentially.
Right, and that's where I'm going with it. Not saying that he is yet, because I'm not taking that step yet. But
Yeah.
it's making it believable that he can get there, as opposed to looking at last year and you're like, I don't know if Jalen can take that step. But
So I want to jump in here with a point. So with us, so Pooty, to your point about us playing ahead, right? Like absolutely, Brits. I know you brought this up. Yeah, get ahead. Like I got fed up and sick and tired of like, oh, now we start playing in the second half, right? But with the way our schedule's working, right, it's probably like we're probably going to be ahead if we play like this, right? Like for the first 8 weeks, like we have a really soft schedule, so where I think it'll turn for me is like when we go, I think we play the Packers this year, right? And then
Yeah.
possibly the Cowboys when Dak comes back,
Mhm.
where it's a team that's of a higher caliber and it's not going to be we score on the first possession, right? Like he's got to play situational football. Like he can't just rely on us scoring first and taking the pressure off him. That's where I think the switch is going to have to turn. And I think it comes with our strength of schedule.
That's
Like,
I would.
yeah,
Speaking of you guys talking about playing from behind, like wanting to see Jalen Hurts playing from behind, I'm looking at the schedule like you're saying. We have the Packers coming up. We'll be playing the Cowboys when they have Dak. We
yeah.
do have the Saints later on in the schedule, but honestly, I don't see a single team on this entire schedule that I think is better than the Eagles.
I was literally gonna
And
say I feel
honest-
so good about this team that I don't see. I don't look at the schedule and see any team
well,
that's better.
there's
I
facts to
agree.
Steelers.
back. There's facts to back
if
that
we don't
up.
beat ourselves, we could go undefeated.
There's
I
facts to
totally
back that
agree.
up too because we're favored in every single home or every single regular season game for the rest of the season as of right now.
Which is insane.
We're favored in every game.
Well,
Yeah.
and technically, we're rated -- 1 on the board
Yeah.
for all NFL teams, right? So
What's
we
harsh?
should
Did you
we
say
should
the
be
Yeah.
Steelers
favored
would
in
be
every
tough?
game. What?
Yeah, Minka Fitzpatrick's playing out of his mind right now.
look around the league. What teams would it be
We can
a
outscore
dog
that
fight?
offense. Though. Their offense stinks.
What teams would it be a dog fight or would beat us? I could say the Bills. I could say
The
I'm
Chiefs.
at Chiefs. I could say
Well,
after that I can't. It's a little hard to think. We could beat
I
I
the
would
was
throw
Packers. I mean,
I would
Ravens,
throw
maybe.
Miami in there.
Miami's tough.
Ravens a tough
And
game.
Dolphins too.
Miami,
Dolphins, yeah.
Tyreek
Ravens,
Hill.
yeah.
Yeah, but look at that. I mean, that's 4 teams, right? And so I mean, so
Yeah,
Well,
that's
what I,
very
they're all AFC.
what I was gonna say, like, kind of piggybacking off of Harsh, like how we have the couple tough games in the regular season. I almost want. It almost worries me if everything we're saying does happen and we do end up have a crazy season, 14-3, something like that,
Yeah, I'm saying
and
maximum
then
3
we go
losses.
and then it just flops.
to the playoffs and we're playing much higher caliber teams at that point.
That's
Like
exactly what I'm worried about.
that
Yep.
that
You
is a
nailed it.
worry. Like the
The
Rams,
thing is,
like like
but
something like that. Like that's a
I
worry. But like at the same time, I mean they're like the Eagles know that too. Like they're gonna know like that when they're playing against tougher teams. They're gonna know like they're gonna game plan differently. But it does worry me that how easy our schedule is. But at the same time, we had an easy schedule the Super Bowl year. So
But Brits,
True.
I mean, easy schedule. If you get to 14-3, you're looking at a first round
oh,
bye.
100%. You do it obviously like
Yeah.
That's a huge
you get that
difference in
first
what.
round bye no matter what. It's not like you're
Yeah,
tanking
yeah.
games to play better teams or whatever. But
Yeah.
You get that
you
first
play with
round,
what
or
you got.
even if you get that second seed playing the seventh seed, you're beating that seventh seed team. Otherwise, it's a huge disappointment, and then you're looking at the next round. So I agree with you, but I mean, it's tough to say. So
I feel
all
like
right,
one of the things is I just wanted to say one of the things with the Eagles though that makes them so good is I feel like they're deep at every single position. Going
they're
into the season, we
balanced,
thought like
very deep and
potentially
balanced.
safety could be a hole, potentially the linebackers could be a hole, potentially Jalen Hurts might not make that next step. It feels to me, or like even like Miles Sanders, maybe he's not going to do that well. I feel like every single position has stepped up and played better than we even expected. Most teams in the NFL, I think, have at least one hole on the team, like one problem. I feel like the Chiefs, their wide receivers aren't as good as they used to be. They're like Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not that great of a running back. Maybe he's comparable to Miles Sanders, but I don't think their defense is as good as our defense. The Bills' defense just got decimated. Don't they have like
Injuries,
their
so
entire
many injuries, yeah.
secondary out? Like every single secondary is like a 6th-round pick from like the past 2 years or undrafted. And then like the Ravens, their defense isn't that good. They're getting scored on like crazy. I think the only other team that has a roster as deep as us is probably the Dolphins, and that's why they scare me. I don't know. I think we have such a deep team that has like so few weaknesses that we're just such a tough team to match up against for anybody.
No,
I would throw the
yeah,
Rams in there too. I think the Rams are pretty. They're not showing it, but they're deep too.
I agree.
deep,
I agree.
deep in balance. Just a scary
The
team on
Rams are
both
going to pull
sides.
it together towards the end of
And
the season, and they're going to be
Of
a much better
course.
team.
once
Exactly.
the Bucks get healthy, I think the Bucks are going to be scary too.
I would second that as well.
That Bucks defense is
Is
vicious.
looking nasty right now. So
Yeah.
so I gotta say, I gotta offer up some appreciation for the one thing that has been consistent over the years. 5 years ago, we won the Super Bowl, and the team turned it around this year just with the amount of depth that we have. Got to give appreciation to Howie. One thing that's
Yeah,
been
I mean, he
consistent.
built a hell of a roster this year.
Gotta give it to him on that one. All
Yeah.
right, so we got week 4 coming up. We talked about the Jalen versus Wentz. It's now Sirianni versus Dougie P. He's coming back into town. I think he'll get some kind of, if it's not from the Eagles, some kind of cheers from the fans. But the question is, with Trevor Lawrence playing pretty well here in the first couple weeks of the season, I'm more interested. How do we, as a defense, scheme up against him? Just knowing what we've done against Kirk, what we've just done with against Commander Carson. How would you guys scheme this up? You guys have probably been watching the games more closely than I have, but what's your go-to scheme in order to stop Dougie P and Trevor Lawrence in this game?
I mean, that's a tough question. I honestly I haven't watched much of them, so I don't know what really they're like what they're running, like how their offense is running right now. But like I know they're definitely mixing it up with the run game and deep balls with Christian Kirk. 'Cause Christian Kirk is looking like an absolute stud right now, which nobody expected. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is playing much better. Um, Obviously Doug's an offensive coach, so like that offense is looking so much better. I was gonna say not so much. I didn't have much to say about the scheme because, like I said, I haven't watched
Yeah,
them enough.
but just
But this is
Doug as
gonna
a
be a
coach,
tough. This is
coaching
gonna be a
staff.
tough game. This is gonna be a much
I
tougher game than when we
I
anticipated
agree.
before the season started because they're
I
playing a
think they
lot
scare me
better.
more than the Cowboys.
As of now, their offense is much better for sure. The Cowboys defense is pretty good. I don't know much about the Jags defense, but I mean they held Kyler Murray to 10 points, so
They got a pretty good defense. I mean, they held
I'm gonna
the Chargers to basically nothing too.
or
12
not
points.
Kyler Murray. That's what I meant. Sorry, Chargers. I meant yeah, Chargers. I mixed them up. Sorry.
come in here and say Josh Allen is probably the guy to watch on that Jacksonville
Oh
defense. He's the
yeah.
he's the edge rusher. They've got one or two guys in the secondary, and then they also have the kid from Georgia who they drafted with the #1 overall pick. Yeah, I mean they definitely have a good defense. I think schematically, I think let's say what we saw here, but I think Doug has a better rushing attack. James Robinson being the guy up the middle, ETN kind of being the third down back. I was looking at some of the highlights. And I think ETN is still trying to figure it out because he like dropped like 2 or 3 like out of the backfield type of touchdown catches.
And that's
Zay
supposed to be his bread
Jones,
and butter, right?
what?
And that's supposed to be like his bread and butter, right?
Receiving back.
You're looking at his fantasy owner, so you can see how frustrated I am. But no, I think schematically 2 back, 2 wide. A lot of there's going to be a healthy mix, right? I think what we saw with Doug here was maybe a little bit too much reliance on the pass game and the speed draw type of things. I think Doug's going to mix it up. Um, Defensively, I think for us, it's just about the offensive line, like keeping Josh Allen out of the backfield because he's a stud, man. If he's going to go up against any of our guys, like they're going to have their hands full.
I think he had like an insane amount of crazy amount of
Yeah.
pressures last week, like something like
Yeah.
12 QB pressures or something like that, like something's absurd.
Yeah,
I
that's
just I've been liking the way our defense has been playing. I know in the past, Gannon had that like red carpet defense or whatever that absolutely stunk, but I feel like he's kind of perfected it at this point, where he just kind of like I feel like the only way that these teams can really have success against us is if they're just doing short passes over and over and over again, and just grinding those yards out. And even when that happens, I think he's able now, especially in the past few games, to dial up the blitz like at smart moments. These ever since he started dialing up the blitz, like Kirk Cousins, Carson Wentz, they look so frustrated. It gets to them so fast, and our defensive backs are so good at covering. It's like everybody's covered. They only have like a second and a half to hold the ball. It's just I think the way he's playing it leads to the other offense making mistakes. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's the way we got to do it. Trevor Lawrence is young. I know he's gotten a lot better and he is a good quarterback, but I think he's going to make mistakes, and I think we're going to capitalize on it.
I would
Yeah, and
agree with that.
that's where you need to win the game, right? Is forcing him to make mistakes. I mean, you look at Kirk, and I mean, he gave Darius Slay like 5 looks just from the
Yeah.
pressure that they came across. I mean, I mean, you saw it towards the end of the game. It wasn't necessarily in the beginning. I know Kirk wasn't doing much, but towards the end, when that rush almost got to him, Kirk just went back and like just
Yeah, just heaved it up there.
He was doing like 360
twice,
no scopes.
like 3 times in a row. It was kind of bizarre. But the pressure was key, and I think that's something that's a little bit different this year compared to last year, where we weren't getting that. We got it from a 4-man front against the Commanders. You got it with a little bit of a blitz. I would like to see Hassan Reddick keep doing what he's doing. I think he had at least a half a sack with Fletcher Cox in the last game, but I want him to get that pressure too, and especially for a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who's still new to the game. Force him to throw interceptions. Trust your guys the way Jonathan Gannon has in Slay and Bradbury.
I got
to get
2
this
points here. I got 2 points here for everyone to digest. Jacksonville is a top 7 defense after the first 3 weeks, so that defense is real. The only other thing I would say is their offensive line is something I think we're going to have to exploit, just because they're very run heavy. So I think Fletcher Cox is going to be a huge key for us to basically get them off the field and get Jalen back on, and also force some mistakes from Lawrence. I'd like to see a big game from Jordan Davis because their rushing attack is two-headed, right? So Fletcher's going to be up front, and then you also need another space eater up there. I think the key is just stopping that rushing attack, because if you do that, you're going to put pressure on Lawrence to kind of win the game with his arm, which he might be able to do, right? He's got a great arm, but second-year quarterback trying to win an arm game, like I'll take my chances doing that versus.
I'll take the battle against Jalen. But why?
Yeah.
Why you bring up the name Jordan Davis? I haven't heard too much about him. I haven't been able to watch the games in too much detail. But are you guys having any concerns with him not getting as much
No, man.
playing time? Not reading?
Nah, he's fine.
Should people not
No.
read too much into it? Is this purely a rookie just warming up as any rookie would?
I think the way you got to look at it is, I feel like it's almost the same situation as Kelsey with Jurgens, except our defensive line rotates
fair.
more often than the offensive line does.
Now
That's
I
fair.
think, like, because when he's coming in, he's absolutely so dominant. You can just watching the
Okay.
games. He's like either getting double or triple teamed, or he's just fucking busting right through the line. He looks
Yep.
good. And honestly, on top of that, after the first game, I was saying that Fletcher Cox looked like kind of like done a little bit.
Washed.
But I thought the past 2 games he's played well. Honestly, him and
Hargreaves.
Brandon Graham both look like they
No, Graham,
are
Graham,
like totally
Graham.
rejuvenated. They look better than they have in like the past 2
Yeah.
years, honestly.
Graham looks great. He really does.
Now that
Yeah.
we're talking about the defensive line, I actually had a point. I mean, if you really go back to it though, the first 2 weeks in a 4-man, like, and for only sending 4, we weren't actually getting that much pressure. In that Viking game, we were getting most of the pressure when we were sending extra guys.
Towards the end, really.
Yeah,
It wasn't really in the beginning
exactly.
of that game.
So like, I think now, obviously, last game we were able to get pressure with 4.
Well, he was also sending people last game though.
Yeah, well, not nearly as much as towards the end of that Vikings game, but
Yeah, you could tell. Yeah.
but the 4-man rush was working, so that's I think why I stayed away from it a little bit more. But this game, last game against the Commanders, like not a great offensive line. Carson Wentz being Carson Wentz, I think it was a little bit skewed because of those factors of how he got 9 sacks and
I mean,
stuff
purely
like that.
Carson Wentz was.
Yeah, Carson being Carson, like just not getting the ball out. Also, that line being not great. I mean, I love to see it. I'm just like, I wouldn't say like the defensive line is having like a great year, because I think the stars of our defense are in the coverage game. Our coverage is unbelievable.
I would agree.
Like,
Oh yeah.
I mean,
our coverage is like it looks perfect right now. It's crazy.
to shut Jefferson down to 43 yards. I
Right.
mean, it's easy to say that.
Right,
And
and then
everybody on that in that defensive back group is doing their part. They're all
exactly, and I would
phenomenal
like
right
to
now.
just see like just a repeat. Like I mean, not 9 sacks, but like let's have a repeat of getting some 4-man pressure from the D line, and like Harsh has said, their offensive line is not great. So as long as we can capitalize on our D line be better than O line, then I'd be happy.
I mean,
I'm gonna.
just yeah. Just go ahead,
I'd like.
Josh, and then I'll follow
I
up.
like. I like to call out Marcus Epps. I think he's had a great start to the year in terms of just like filling in there, right? Like he was what was he, a practice squad guy, worked his way into special teams, and then now he's a starting safety. So props to Howie, like you guys said, right? He went out and found talent that was undervalued, and now he's our starting safety alongside CJ Gardner Johnson. Who do you
Yeah,
got?
Yeah,
cheap
pretty
talent,
incredible.
and finding them,
And,
undrafted
and
guys.
you
All
see him
score
in the
record.
game. He makes a lot of tackles, and he covers well. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It
good
looks
thing
like
having
people are
faith.
being, dude. It's like people are being eaten up out there, dude. Like there's nowhere to get the ball to.
No,
Yeah,
well, that's what
I
when I
like.
saw it,
Good
they
football.
had that. I was gonna say they had that stat at the end of the half in the game that I saw. It said I think time of possession was like evenly split. We had like 1450 and they had like 1430 or something like that. And we had 250 yards and they had 50 to their 50, like in that exact same amount of time. So
Well,
they
there
had
was.
15 minutes and they only got 50 yards against us.
Did
And
you
that was
see?
before we even got that last 45-second drive. So we had probably had like 300 in the first half compared to their 50. Teams are having such a tough time going against us. I know the first game against the Lions, DeAndre Swift had like a lot of success running the ball against us, which is why I'm going to be interested to see if we're able to stop James Robinson because he has really been doing good, like you're saying, Harsha.
Yeah, he's good back.
Yeah, he's
Thanks
people
for
don't
the
give
reminder,
that
guys.
give that guy enough credit.
There is
But
another. I had one more
yeah,
wild stat. I think there was a point in that game against the Commanders where we had 280 passing yards, I think, and they had -1. So
yeah,
we kind
Jesus.
of demolished the Commanders. Like that was just a no contest.
it was we demolished them. But
What?
no, I mean, yeah, I mean, we talk about stats and the league leaders. Yeah, Carson may have had 7 touchdowns through 2 games, but look at Jalen, right? And he has 900 yards across 3 games. I mean, he's one of the league leaders in yards per attempt, like all the things that matter. And then also, what, 1 interception on the year? I mean, compared to Carson's, how many? Well, I don't know about interceptions, but sacks and sack
Yeah,
yards that he's accumulated.
fumbles and
Like you talk about comparisons and clear difference. Passing touchdowns aren't everything. If Jalen goes through this year and is just 20 touchdowns passing, 10 rushing, and 7 interceptions with this defense, I'll take it, and I think we can go far
I
in the
think he's
playoffs
gonna.
too.
I think he's gonna have more than that on the passing touchdowns.
I agree with you, but I'm saying even if he has that total,
Yeah,
with the
I
rushing
mean he's
touchdowns,
taking
he
care of
already
the
has
ball.
3. He already has 3,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. That's the key, right? Is takeaways and just taking care of the ball. He takes care of the ball for one side on the offensive side. Defense, how many interceptions do we have this year compared to, I think, maybe 9 total 2 years ago or a year ago? So what
Yeah, I
this?
mean, what we had 3 in the Vikings game.
Yeah,
Three.
I
Yeah.
mean, if we're looking at already like 5, 6 for this year, I mean, that's looking a lot more like the 2017
Wait, does
season.
Jalen only
So
have 1 pick?
Yeah.
And it
I
was
think
It
a,
was
it's
and it
that
only
was
Pick.
it
one,
was a
that
tip ball,
screwed
and
up
it was a tip ball.
Gamewell one, dude.
Yeah, it was a
and
tip ball.
it wasn't even
No,
his
not
fault.
even his
So
fault.
again,
So
so 0 picks on the year.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at. So let's go around. Let's do game predictions. I agree with all the sentiments here. Don't underestimate the Jags. You can't go in underestimating them overall.
Mhm.
Never do that in any football game, obviously. But this is a team that could pull a quick one on you. So I'll go to let's go to Jackson on a game prediction for this upcoming Sunday.
So I have I feel like been predicting blowouts the past few weeks. And I've
you're
been
getting them
accurate
right,
on them,
but
to be
not as
honest.
much as the scoring. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I predicted crazier blowouts than happened, but I mean, I'll give myself credit. They were both blowouts. But I think this, and honestly, the 2 teams that we played against, the Vikings and the Commanders, I think the Vikings, before we blew them out, everybody was saying, I mean, even what's his face, Michael Irving or whatever was saying, Kirk Cousins is going to be MVP and they're going to win the Super Bowl. So like, they're not a bad team. Now we dismantled them. People are saying they're a joke. I think people had the Commanders potentially as the second best team in our division, and we dismantled them, and now people say they stink. I think we're going to keep dismantling teams, but in that same vein, I feel like people thought that the Chargers were one of the best teams. I know.
Jaguars. Oh,
No, I'm
Chargers.
saying
Okay, gotcha.
the Chargers were one of the best teams. I know Justin Herbert has the cartilage injury in his chest, but I mean they still held him to only 12 points, and I think that shows that the Jaguars are kind of doing a similar thing to what we're doing. I don't think they're as good as we are. I think that we're definitely a better team, and we're not going to play down to their level. But I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I'm saying 28-24.
28-24.
I think,
Close game.
yeah.
Okay. I'll go with a close score too. I think I'll go with, a 21-17 victory. Defense, still holds them to a respectable amount, but I think it's going to be a close game. I think this is going to be a tough game to win. I don't know if we're going to have as much control of the game as we've had, the past couple, but I still going with the Birds for the win, but this is going to be a lot tougher than it looks.
I will say though, I want to add on, if this is a blowout, I'm locking in undefeated for the year.
All right. The perfect season. Got it.
With an extra game. Okay.
I don't know what. Honestly, I have no idea what to say about this game because I have for some
It's
reason
tough.
I have
It's
a
a
weird
tough
feeling
read.
about it, and it's
It's
like
a tough read.
because I like I said like a couple weeks ago I would say like we win 30-10 or something like that.
Then again, I looked at the Commanders and I was like, I don't know, it can go kind of either way. I'm
So
not.
did I. I actually
And
said the
after
same
that,
thing.
I'm like, all right,
Divisional game
Eagles
away.
are a good team.
Yeah.
Eagles are a good team. Like, let's go. I'm saying a definite win here, but it's going to be close.
I'm gonna go to struggle. It's gonna be a struggle this game. It's gonna be a come from behind kind of game. It's
Ooh.
gonna be a come from behind.
I mean, it is a home game. Let's
I'm
remember
going
that.
actually. I'll be there.
Jackson's going to be there.
What'd you say, Jackson? 28-24?
Yeah.
That's what he said.
I'm gonna go 27-23.
Okay. Some weird numbers.
27-23.
Okay.
God damn it. Harsh, are you going 29-25?
Yeah, totally. I'll do some scoregami here. No, I wanted to bring it back to a point I made earlier about how Jalen needs kind of that like come from behind moment. I think he gets it
Okay,
this
this
game.
is it. Okay. All right.
I think it's gonna be 31-28. I think, and I'll make a bolder prediction here. I think Jalen has to get us in field goal range with, I think I'll say about like just under 2 minutes. He's got to get us into field goal range to win. And I think he does it because he has the people to do it. So
Okay.
yep, 31-28 Birds.
I love
that.
it. I love it.
actually like that a
I'll-
lot. I
I'll
can
say
definitely
that.
see that happening. I do think it's going to be a come from behind kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'll
Well,
say that.
I-
I'll say this. I'm not worried about Jalen taking it downfield for just a
Yeah.
field goal within 2 minutes. I feel pretty confident about that kind of thing. So, okay.
No, this is the team to do it against, right? Because they've got a decent defense, right? You've got the weapons on the outside. You should be able to beat those one-on-one matchups. So, no, I think I would rather him have that experience earlier in the season rather than us going up against Tampa Bay in the playoffs and us having to call on him to drive 80 some yards in a minute 30 to try and win.
Absolutely.
Fair. But I mean, looking at the games coming up, Cardinals, I see us beating them, could go either way. Cowboys, if we're playing Dak, it's a lot tougher. But again, divisional game can go
Cooper Rush
either
is
way.
playing well.
Rush is playing well.
Actually playing a little football here. Then you got Steelers, Texans, Commanders. So I mean, you're looking at the schedule, and it's this. I mean, you're looking at this, potentially coming out with maybe only 2 losses over the course of the next 6 games. And so if you go, 4-2, 7-2, I like it. Jackson's shaking his head because he wants that undefeated.
I know. I'm seeing maximum one loss there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I mean,
Who's the loss?
Maximum one loss. I would say, let's see, who are we looking at?
I don't think it's the Cardinals. I think it might be the Cowboys. Somehow they have our number, man.
I can see
no
us
matter
losing
who
a
it is.
weird game, like a weird home game to Tennessee.
I think only teams we could lose against are Jaguars, Cardinals, and Packers.
Across the whole year, so you're kind of going with the 14-3 thing. Okay.
I mean, I don't think we're gonna lose these games, but yeah, I'm saying
the biggest homer there is,
as
Jacksonville.
of now, I'm going a conservative 16-1.
Oh, very conservative.
but I'll bump it
Conservative
up.
16-1. My
Wow.
Conservative
God.
16-1.
Yeah, are you drinking from the can or the bottle?
Thank you for
Drinking from
staying.
the keg, dude.
Thank you for staying conservative here. Okay, let's end on something fun, something Brits and I had done on a previous
let's
podcast, but something you guys didn't get to do. We're talking about different teams in the NFL, and when I say a team, you say the player that comes to mind, and it could be a sexy player. He's a Hall of Fame kind of guy, or it could be a guy. It's like, all right, this guy defines what the franchise is like. So to give you guys
So,
an example,
are we doing current player? We're not. It's just whoever. It could be current.
could be anybody across history. Of course, with me and Brits, it ended up being like 2000s guys.
Yeah.
So to give you guys an example, I think we like for the Bears, we did Brian Urlacher. For Packers, it was between Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. Lions, it was I think we went with Megatron.
Yeah.
Vikings, I think we went Randy Moss. So whatever comes to mind. It could be a terrible player where it's just like, all right, that defines
First player. When you think of that team, first player.
yeah, whatever
like
comes to mind. So I can kick it off for you guys. Okay. Let's go AFC South since we're talking Jaguars. And let's go so let's go Texans. And for me, it's I think of this guy.
I think that's an easy answer for me.
For you maybe, but because of this franchise being such shit over the years, I think of Matt Schaub.
That's
a good one.
I think just due to playing starting fantasy football in like 2012 maybe, and like really getting into it at that point, for
Arian
me,
Foster?
as soon as I think Arian Foster,
That's a good one. That's a good one. That is a good one. Okay, I'll take that.
You
Fair
say
enough.
Aaron Foster?
Yeah, what else you guys got?
I always think of Andre Johnson.
I
That's
mean
a good one.
that's a good answer, but doesn't represent the franchise. He was good.
Yeah.
He was actually good.
Yeah, that's true. But
you could go
guess...
Bolden.
But I agree, Jackson. Or Brits. I know.
Yeah.
I was thinking.
the only guy who pops in my head when I think of a good player on that team.
Well, you could say JJ Watt, I guess.
Yeah, JJ Watt.
Yeah,
that's true.
Say JJ Watt.
That's true.
Yep.
So
I think of what's his face, Brian.
That's
who was their coach?
Jackson, shut up. That was my pick.
Brian who? Wait, Brian.
I don't even know
who was. Say, you say it.
So here, I literally was waiting. I was like, someone's gonna take him. So there's a good
Brian Cushing.
So there's a good mic'd up clip of him trucking a Cleveland Browns offensive lineman and then like taking off his helmet and like getting a whole bloody nose.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that.
So I was that. Yeah, Brian Cushing was the one I was gonna say.
Insane defensive player.
That's not even who I was saying. That wasn't even who I was saying.
Who were you gonna say?
Saying who was their old coach? Who was their coach from like
Bill
7 years
O'Brien?
ago or whatever? Was it Brian?
Yeah,
Bill
O'Brien.
Yeah, Bill O'Brien, dude.
You can say coaches too. Coaches are acceptable.
Oh my God, Jackson, you ruined my thunder. You ruined my thunder. That literally, I was gonna.
Who knew the Texans would be such a contradicting team?
Not only did I ruin your thunder accidentally, I even said the wrong first name for who I was trying to say.
Not even first name, just last name.
It was the last name. I was saying
O'Brien. Not even the last name. It's O'Brien.
Well.
Pooty, you took JJ Watt. I'm like, all right, I'm not doing JJ Watt, and I was like, all right, I got this Brian Cushing one.
That's fair.
Man.
So
I
just
think
crazy
Brian Cushing is a great answer.
Okay, great answer. All right, let's go to the Colts. There's the obvious answer, and then there's a couple fun ones if you want to sprinkle them in. See who wants to go first on this one. We can all say Peyton Manning, obviously, but
Nah.
Let's just take Peyton Manning off the table.
All right,
take him off the table.
He's a resounding yes. We'll go honorable number 2.
I would say obviously, probably another obvious is Marvin Harrison, or I'll say Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, I was thinking of Marvin Harrison, or there's another one, but I always think of Marvin Harrison when I think of the old Colts teams.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that,
Harsh, it seems like you might have one.
I got a couple actually. I'm thinking of. I'm just waiting to see.
I have a couple.
There's a decent amount, I think.
I have a couple.
There's a good amount actually. Yeah, go ahead, Jackson.
I'm stuck.
Don't steal my thunder.
I mean, I'm gonna say I don't know.
Just say
I'm gonna
it.
say Bob Sanders, dude. Bob Sanders, I feel like was a savage as a safety.
Yeah. All right. You didn't take my guy. Okay. So, I mean, I think this guy deserves to get more credit than what he does. especially being like one of the most notable HBCU guys to come into the league. Robert Mathis, like him and
Ooh.
Dwight Freeney on the edges, like
I was gonna say
those
Dwight
guys
Freeney.
those guys are unstoppable, right? I think Mathis deserves to get more credit than he actually does. I don't know if he's been inducted to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but I mean, he was absolutely nasty, and he came from like a non-powerhouse school to go on and be like a Colts legend.
Those old Colts team has some really good defenses.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Okay, cool. You also got Edgerrin James, Reggie Wayne out there.
Yeah,
Some
I
good
was
names.
thinking
Reggie,
as well.
Some honorable
Yeah.
mentions.
Dallas Clark.
Dallas Clark. See, tight end.
Jeff
What was
Saturday
Yeah,
or whatever.
tight end.
Yeah,
Pro Bowl
yeah.
tight end.
Okay.
Yep, he was part of those
Pat
teams.
McAfee, of course.
Oh
Come on.
God,
How we missed
No, Pat McAfee. Yeah.
I always think of old coaches for some reason.
Oh wait, what was his
Dungy.
name? Yeah,
Dungy.
Dungy. Yeah.
Dungy.
Dungy's the man. Tony Dungy.
Yeah, he might take it on that one. All right, the Jags. What do you got? I think I know Jackson's.
Ooh. I mean, that's a tough one. Obviously you're thinking MJD, I think.
Yeah. I know that was your
Or-
guy back in the day. Yeah.
Or
Yeah, you just got. I know what you're saying. You got the initials wrong. Jones Drew.
what do you mean? I said MJD.
Yeah, he said MJD.
I thought you said something else. My bad.
I don't even.
I would say him. You'd say Fred Taylor.
Oh yeah,
Say
Fred Taylor.
Artie
Thinking
Taylor,
David Garrard.
Gerard.
Byron Leftwich.
Ah, my God, come on! Like, can we just all stick to one name? Because I'm like, I was gonna like tie it together and be like, there's this head coaching candidate who was also a QB. Now I gotta think of a new one. Ah,
I don't even know.
You can't think of much. I don't think you can think of much for the Jags, to be honest.
I
I don't really
actually
like
think
this division, but
I could come up with one. Actually, I think I got one here.
Okay, all right.
Non-player Tom Coughlin. I think he was their first head coach. Out of
Really?
them being, yeah, he was. Yep, Tom Coughlin got his first head coaching gig with the Jags when they were an expansion franchise, and then I believe he took over as the GM.
Yeah, he did.
At one point.
I know he
So
went back, so that makes sense.
yeah. And then I mean, recent history, right? Like, I mean, the team that went to the AFC Championship game, I know he's
Bortles.
not Bortle. I was thinking Ramsey because he got drafted there.
Oh,
Like
true.
recent
Ramsey.
history, right? Like
So I see him more of as a Ram, though.
Yeah, I think people see him more of as a Ram now, but like he spent the first 4 or 5 years of his career in Jacksonville, and like
Still an
that
unbelievable player, yeah.
that defense was amazing. And to add to that defense, I'm going to jump in here. Calais Campbell spent a lot of time in
It's a
Jacksonville
good one.
and was an absolute monster.
That's fair.
And people thought he was done after he left the Cardinals, but I mean, he's still playing now, and he was a monster with the Jags.
Nice pull.
I was gonna say
Nice
the heir
pull.
for the day. What could have been Justin Blackmon, who was like, do you guys remember him back in the day? He was
Yeah,
like
Oklahoma State wideout, right?
Oh my God, he was like the best
Yeah.
receiver ever as like a rookie for like half a season, and then he just like got high and they kicked him out of the league forever. It
Yeah,
was
of
like
course.
such a sad story.
Literally, of course. Brits, did you have one? I don't remember.
I mean, I didn't really have much on them, honestly.
I don't think you can't pull one at this point.
Yeah.
Dougie P, dude.
Dougie P.
Doug,
Alright, and
Mark
then,
Brunell,
Yeah, Brunell. Yep.
and Jimmy. Don't forget Jimmy Smith too.
Yeah,
he was a
Jimmy
great
Smith.
wideout for them.
Yep.
DJ Chark,
Ah,
Alan
Zay-
Hearns, whatever.
Alan Hearns. Oh man. Yeah. All right. Christian Kirk. Yeah. Tennessee Titans. So there's a couple good names. I won't throw any out. I'll leave it
so
to
pause. Do we include
between. I don't really know any Oilers, so go ahead.
Okay,
Pause,
that's
hold
fine.
on.
I won't include Oilers in this. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I'm thinking of 2 running backs. I'm wondering who's the better one.
CJ2K is
I
better
actually
now.
have a good one for this.
As of now.
Brits, is yours a quarterback?
No.
Actually,
I
does
do
Derrick
know- I think I know
Henry
what you're talking about.
does Derrick Henry become the name?
Over
Derrick
Eddie
Henry-
George?
Eddie George
Eddie
or
George.
Chris Johnson?
Eddie George was
True,
like the second
true.
player I was thinking of, but dude, this is gonna be a little Eagles take here. Javon Curse.
Yeah, that's a good one. He spent
Javon
some time
Curse
there.
Good
was
pull.
a beast
Good
on his
pull.
first couple of years there, dude.
Yeah,
Good pull.
Absolute
Good pull.
beast.
Good work. You got Steve McNair.
McNair's the obvious one.
Yeah, Steve McNair was kind of electric. I remember fucking playing with him in Madden.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did Kenny Britt for forever, but I feel like he was never that great.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw in Kevin
Okay.
Dyson, the guy who got stopped at the 1 yard line in the Super Bowl, between the Titans and the Rams. So he was their wideout, and one of the Rams linebackers
I know
tackled
who it
him
is.
at the 1.
I seen that
So
played over and over on YouTube videos and stuff.
yeah, I'm also gonna throw in Frank Wycheck. So the Music City Miracle. He was the offensive lineman who caught the kickoff and then turned and threw it behind him to Kevin Dyson, who
Mhm.
ran it back for a touchdown. So I think Frank Wycheck
Nice.
owns a very interesting piece of Titans history.
I don't even think I
There it
remember
is.
I would
that
say
play.
when I think of the Titans, I think of probably the best player to ever play for the Titans,
AJ Brown.
Oh my God, bro, who's
Probably.
man?
Probably.
I gotta put that Homer action in there.
Oh man.
Dude,
Has to be there. Has to be there.
do you throw out Mike Munchak? Or no, actually, you know what? Here's a good one. Vince
Mike
Young.
Vrabel. Vince Young,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Dream team, DT.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like we're missing somebody. I feel like we're missing somebody
I
with these
feel like we're
guys.
missing somebody too. I don't
Yeah.
know
Oh
what.
yeah, absolutely right.
All right.
We got to remember the Titans.
Nice.
I think it should end there.
All right, I'm googling this right now. Okay, we missed.
It's supposed to be top of mind. You can't just look it up in the
Oh,
dictionary.
Well,
Chris
dude,
Johnson.
We honestly we were pretty spot.
we
I said Chris Johnson
Oh, we said
first.
okay.
We said
You-
Chris Johnson.
You
Yeah.
goof.
Yeah.
That's
What
fine.
other receivers? I feel like we're missing a receiver
Eric
here.
Mason.
Ooh, was it Samari Roll?
Don't know.
Samari Roll was the corner.
Corner.
He was on. He was on the Ravens for a long time though. That's when I feel like I was watching him. But I
Yeah.
think he was on the Titans.
What do you think
Are you
of
talking
Chris
about Cortland?
Chandler?
Are you talking about Cortland Finnegan, Caputi? Because
Oh,
that's
no.
another one.
I think Samari Roll was on the Titans, but then I think he went to the
He
Ravens.
was
He
definitely
did.
on the Titans, but
He did. He was
the opposite.
definitely.
Okay.
So you got here.
Javon Curse was a good one.
The Titans have not had a very successful franchise.
Well, because they relocated because they used to be the Oilers, so that's why I asked the question if you could throw Oilers in there because I would throw Earl Campbell because
Yeah.
technically he'd be in there, and I mean you could also do Bruce Matthews, right? He's another one because he played with the Oilers, and yeah, he was more of an Oilers guy. I think he might have played a season with the Titans.
Gotta remember him.
Yeah,
All right, boys.
We had Albert Hainsworth apparently.
Hainsworth, yeah, that was another one.
We can extend more of these for our next pods. It'll only force us to do more podcasts. So.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I'm
next
in.
division.
All right, so we got 3 checked off. So we'll save it for another time. But thank you for a 3-1. We got all 4 boys here back at it, and we got the Birds winning on Sunday. Where are we watching the game? Anybody know? I don't know.
I'm down.
I mean,
I'm going.
Are you?
Yeah. Okay. We'll be
Yeah.
there.
Oh, nice.
Jackson
Are
has
you,
4
wait,
tickets.
hold on. Are you guys tailgating?
Good.
Good.
Jackson's gonna be there.
I'm going with my dad. I don't know if we're tailgating or not.
Get
Not
your
true fan.
dad to chug a
Me
few.
and my dad join you guys for a little flip cup, maybe. I'm down.
Yeah.
I like
Tell
that.
yeah.
We got
Steve-
we'll do something.
Steven Jackson the first senior. Steven Jackson senior, baby.
I wasn't home.
All right.
I wasn't home for the last game.
No name's not Jackson.
All right. We're closing it down. We launched. We landed. And we'll see you guys next time. So
See you guys next
hopefully-
time. Go Birds.
go Birds.
Birds.